Some days, some nights, some live, some die in the name of the samurai. Some fight, some bleed, some up, some down, the sons of a battle cry. Battle cry.
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
It was a defensive exercise.
Yeah, best defense is a good offense. Or is it the other way around?
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome back to Samurai Month. And I am back with my anime sensei, Kusanagi cosplay, Kusanagi ASMR, and she's a lovely, lovely person. One of my favorite guests of all time. Don't know why I haven't had her on sooner. It's Georgina Hanmer. Welcome back.
Hiya, you all right?
I'm good. How are you
to get that in there.
Yeah, right. It's brilliant to have you back. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it was so much fun last time. But don't worry, we've got the mics turned on this time, so I've got you recorded properly.
I was going to say, I even got the big mic out. I got the proper one out.
We've got the big mics out. I've got my webcam on. We've got my mic on. We're all good. We are all sorted. We're recording. We're well away. We are on our way, and we're here to celebrate some excellent anime that you've recommended to me, and you think other people need to watch this as a classic anime show. It is currently available on UK Netflix as well, so you can watch the whole thing, 26 episodes in full, and enjoy that long, lovely, joyous journey. But I think I'm going to leave it up to you to explain as best you can what the show's about and why you love it so much and why other people need to watch and experience it for themselves.
So first of all, the anime in question is called Samurai Champloo. Now, like you said, it's 26 episodes long. It did only run for one series, and I do think this works out to its advantage. Now, this is because I actually did this. I did this in one of my little top 10 things on TikTok.
Yes, you're on TikTok. You're on YouTube. You're on Facebook. Yeah. I'll link all your stuff in my show notes so people can come and enjoy your content, because it is good stuff. I love it.
One of the main thing was when it comes to specific animes, now I'm talking here about stuff that is usually based on mangas that have been serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump. Now, they have a tendency to have dozens of manga volumes, and they also end up having hundreds of anime episodes as well. And you get anime that is that long. The production staff have been working on it for the best part of forever. It's almost like they lose interest. The writers seem to just forget what they're doing. Everything goes on way too long for anything to actually make any sense. But Samurai Champloo, 26 episodes, one season, and that's all you got.
That's all you need. Like
it is all you need.
Like I personally, like I tend not to get into these big series, like, you know, these big HBO series, and, you know, I didn't get into Game of Thrones and stuff like that because I know eventually either they won't conclude it where they should, or it'll just go on forever and ever and ever, and eventually they'll be like, we'll just spaff out an ending and it'll be crap and it'll be disappointing, and then I'll have wasted hours of my life. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about Evangelion, about animes that go on and on and on. Like I used to love Dragon Ball when I was a kid, but like rewatching it as, you know, a bit older, I'm like, fucking hell, how many episodes are there just like, oh my God, he's too powerful, and they just stand there like admiring the awe and power of a character. I'm just like,
yeah, when pretty much 90% of, well, in fact, Dragon Ball was originally a Weekly Shonen Jump manga, so hence why it ended up with as many episodes as it did. like 90% of animes like that end up being filler.
Yeah,
so
true. There was so many episodes. It's just them. There's like Frieza's floating above them, and they're just talking about Frieza and his power for 20 minutes.
Let's have like 3 episodes worth of screaming. That's what it was. Literally 3 episodes of like Goku powering up a Kamehameha. Like, just get on with it, for God's sake.
Lend me your energy. Lend me your energy for 3 episodes, and eventually I'll do something. It's like, all right, get on with it. Like, again, when it's at its best, it's amazing. But when it's just that, and you just think, just come on, guys, just get on with it. Stop just talking and exposition after exposition of someone being more and more powerful. But and that's, I think, why a lot of people struggle to get on to animes, because they're like, oh, I don't know if I'll get into it, and it's so long, and where's the ending? But I think this one is very much about the ending, but it's also very much about the journey of these characters. And it's kind of like there's not really like short arcs. There's like a couple of like 2 episode parters and things like that, but the true arc is the whole series for the characters.
The whole series is you follow 3 characters throughout the series. So you have a young girl. She's according to all the bump that you can read on it, she's approximately 15 years old. And then you have Jean, who is a 20-year-old samurai. And then the other one of the trio is Mugen, and he's approximately 19. Now you get it occasionally throughout the series where they will make mention of Jean being a Ronin, and they also mention Mugen as being a vagrant as well. So I don't know. To me, like, so you have your 3 main characters, and like you said, this overall arc, which is pretty much just the first.
Well, the whole series.
The whole series, yeah.
Yeah, it takes the whole series just to complete this arc, but it is.
It does, yeah. But then you totally do get like the individual stories, which can maybe go on for 2 or 3 episodes, and then you'll get maybe some slightly humorous sort of standalone episodes on their own. And I do think it's definitely worked to the advantage of the anime itself because of that. It doesn't outstay its welcome. No. Absolutely not. And it just keeps giving you something different.
Oh yeah, there's so
much an episode rolls around. Yeah,
so much variety in the episodes, so varied, and a lot of the time, some of the episodes don't really have anything to do with being a samurai, or they don't necessarily have fights necessarily. It's just a situation they've got to find their way through and figure out, which I like. And again, you do get characterization within that. Again, it's not like we say, they don't complete a full arc until the end of the series, but you do see them grow and bond and become closer throughout these weird and wacky adventures sometimes.
I think it's got some really nice sort of gradual, character development and progression as well. They don't give you everything on these characters to begin with. Like these 3 are learning about each other as they do go on the journey. And as a person watching it, part of the audience that's watching it, you are basically getting it at the same time as what the characters are in the show. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah. I think only until like the last few episodes, you get Mugen's backstory, you get Jean's complete backstory, you get Fu's complete backstory. That's like, okay, this is their backstory. And throughout, they're kind of, again, you're getting to know them through these situations and as people. And again, there are these, it's quite deep. Again, it has this comical feel to it. It's got this anachronistic feel to it because there's a lot of, there's a huge hip hop influence in this show, which doesn't make any sense, but it totally works with this Edo feudal Japan kind of setting.
It works so well with it. So maybe just mention a little bit about the actual story. Fu, the young girl, essentially tasked Jean and Mugen into traveling across Japan with her because she is looking for the samurai who smells of sunflowers, and they're like, yeah, he's not real. But they go on this little journey with her anyway, mainly because she's been working in this tea house and it gets burnt down, and them two somehow become embroiled with like battling the local the local council, the local government, and she essentially saves them from being executed. So whether they like it or not, they are kind of indebted to her. So yeah, go on this little journey, and it progresses from there as they do go across Japan on their travels.
Again, you get the wild and wacky adventures, and they're very varied. Like no one episode is like the other one. Like you've got an episode about graffiti, you've got an episode about zombies, mushroom zombies. You've got a baseball episode where they play baseball against Americans. Insane, proper, but it kind of still weirdly all fits together in this weird kind of patchwork show. Again, like with other shows, you'd be like, this is random, this is Jump the Shark, this wouldn't work, but there's something about the way this is put together. I mean, I think Champloo kind of roughly translates as kind of remix or improvised mix-up.
Yeah, Champloo, if I remember correctly, that's where it was originally derived from. Which is to mix, kind of like, I don't know, if you were
like in food, like
a stir fry together, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think somewhere I read it originated from food, and again, like talking about all these random elements, they might not necessarily work in another show or with somebody else behind the not behind the camera, but the writing, the style, all this kind of works together to make this very unique existential kind of journey for these characters who are all kind of isolated outsiders. You learn through their backstories that they had a family, a home that they no longer have for reasons. And again, that's gradually revealed throughout the show and the backstories are elaborated on. But again, it's these adventures that you get to know their character traits, who they are. And like you were saying with Jin, he's a ronin, like a dishonored samurai without a master who wanders the land. And he is the kind of the classic style samurai, the stoic warrior. Like absolutely, like he's like classic archetypal samurai, and I'll see it. We'll see a lot of this in Samurai Month. We'll see a lot of kind of Gene style characters, and that kind of plays a great kind of juxtaposition with Mugen's character, who's
Mugen is pretty much like the foil, really. He's the chalk to Jin's cheese, essentially.
Yeah,
I think that's why they work so well together. Like in the beginning, they've got it out for each other. Like Mugen's like, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch." Jin's like, "Yeah, I'd like to see you try." So throughout the whole series, is like this playoff against these two characters who just really want to try and kill each other, but not until they've accomplished this little journey, this little mission that Fu gives them.
Yeah, that's the promise. She saved their lives. They go on this journey and they go, "Yeah, I will kill you. I'm definitely going to kill you. I hate you. I'm going to kill you." But like over the time, they kind of sort of bond and they soften. They still occasionally fight and almost kill each other because boys will be boys. But yeah, I love that they're almost like, I think I read somewhere that Mugen was like an absolutely going to happen in this series character. And they were like, because I know the creator is it Watanabe?
Shinichiro Watanabe. Yeah, this is the guy behind Cowboy Bebop. He's also behind Space Dandy as well. It's like when it comes to making anime series, especially something, with the music that it has in it, the overall style, the direction that the writing goes as well. Shinichiro Watanabe is definitely the go-to man. There's also another one actually that he's done relatively recently, and it's completely like music based, and it's called Carol and Tuesday. This is a proper full-on recommendation from me as well. It's currently on UK Netflix, and it's another one that doesn't outstay its welcome as well. This man knows what he's doing.
I have to agree. I've not seen Cowboy Bebop, but I've been meaning to get to it. I know. I'm sorry. I've let you down. I've disappointed you. I know. I'm a shamed samurai myself today. I'm feeling it, and I'm probably ashaming all the anime fans listening. Are probably like, "What is wrong with you?" And again, I know it's short, it's tiny. I can do it. It's something manageable that I can do. I just maybe that'll be our next podcast. How about that? Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the bad.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, let's do it. But I've heard that one again is more kind of jazz themed musically. This is more hip hop, and I think the others have their own different musical stylings. It seems like that's where he builds the shows from, the musical aspect.
It almost does seem like he has the music chosen first, and then everything else is kind of plotted around it. And if that is the case, then do you know what? It works.
Yeah. Really does.
It definitely works, because the music does. I wouldn't say that it's had like a direct influence on the actual style of the animation, but it meshes really well together with it. Like during fight sequences and stuff like that, and you've just got this odd hip hop stuff going on in the background, and you're like, yeah, I get it. It's cool.
Yeah, like it doesn't absolutely. It's it's like Tarantino. He plays like songs that do not fit like the period he's filming. So if it's a cowboy film and he's playing like a blaxploitation song, like soul song, like that's his style. That's the way, and it kind of is a little bit like that. But yeah, it just weirdly blends, and it's like this Japanese infused hip hop as well. It's not all Western. It's got its own unique Japanese flavor to it, which is I find
they did have a lot of Japanese hip hop artists involved on the soundtrack. You've got like Suchi as well. Fat John, if I remember correctly, he is actually American, but he was heavily involved with the soundtrack. Nujabes as well, who is unfortunately no longer with us. I think he had heart complications a few years ago and sadly passed away. You've got Force of Nature as well, and various, vocalists that they've collaborated with.
I think the ending theme song, the one they use the most, and the opening theme song are excellent as well. And it gets you into that kind of there's all the kind of like the record scratches and stuff you hear and things like that. And it's like obviously didn't happen in the time in Feudal Japan.
They use record scratching as like the transition sound between scenes and stuff, and I don't know why it just works so well with it.
Yeah, and even like you've got this. I remember the scene where in one of the episodes where this big loudmouth samurai is like, I can slay anybody. I'm the best samurai around. I'm looking for this one guy who's wearing glasses. It turns out to be Gene in the end, and the whole episode is like it's around that they don't have any money. He has to pawn his glasses because they're worth something, and then that's why he doesn't know it's him until like the last moment. But he's got a guy who's like his MC, and he's got his like katana in his hand, got the handle, and he's like,
it's got like this entourage of just beatboxers and MCs and stuff that like announce this guy out. Like it's just unreal, but for some reason it works. I mean, it's seamless. It's supposed to be set in like Edo period Japan. This is one thing I would like to get into. Like, obviously, throughout the anime, they have taken some sort of artistic liberties with, the actual history of what happened. Edo period Japan. This was like from the 1600s right the way up to like the 1860s. Tokugawa period is what they also called it as well, because it has a lot to do with who was the shogunate at the time. So a shogunate would mean that they were under military rule basically, and it would be like separate clans, warrior clans and stuff that were sort of like local council, if you want to call them that, but they were assholes at the same time. Edo period Japan was sort of a lot more peaceful than the previous period, which was Sengoku. And that was very, very blood heavy, violent, and just quite nasty and not very nice. And they did have a lot of like revolts and stuff during Edo period, which it does work its way into the main storyline, especially when it comes to Fu and Jean. like the shogunate are sent after them. I don't want to give too much away because it's like a proper main part of the story, but it's interesting when you go through these episodes and you find out that there is actually some truth to the history that they are portraying in the series.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm not sure how much is accurate in this version of Japan, this version of the Edo period. You know, I'm pretty sure they weren't beatboxing. I'll say that much.
That's pretty true, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they weren't doing it. I'm not sure about the graffiti episode as well. As much as I enjoyed that graffiti episode of the rival gangs, and they're like, these two rival brothers are clashing, and they're like, I want to be the leader, I want to be the leader. Well, we're gonna tag the most dangerous place, this kind of temple and stuff. Again, it's a fun episode. It's a ludicrous episode, but and there's a lot of kind of obviously with these historical. A lot of this is history. A lot of this is real history that's involved. And I think I'm going to see a lot more of the kind of political criticism of the era and the time. And like you said, the shogunate is shown to be corrupt and to be a bad thing. And it directly affects every single one of the main characters in some form, and is often the reason why they're chased throughout, or, they've got assassins after them and things, even though it's...
I mean, you do see it through some of the episodes as well. Like the Edo period, it wasn't particularly kind to the regular person. They put a lot of things up, like taxation and stuff like that. So it made the poor people even poorer. It led a lot of people into ruin, and you do see this in some of the episodes as well, where a lot of people were going to gambling, going into huge debts, and pretty reminiscent of the time as well. Women weren't exactly, like they are today, choosing careers, doing what they want with their life, all that kind of business. A lot of the women were eventually sold into, like prostitution and stuff, which is not particularly nice, but it's a part of Japanese history.
I think that's the thing is like you said, history's the historical elements are not necessarily kind or not, and you think that you're like, oh, bloody hell, that's horrible. The whole idea of that is disgusting. It's horrible. It's deplorable. But then you also think, how far we've come in society and various other countries and their different cultures and everything. But I think that also leads to some of the better episodes, like you were saying, that some of the poor characters become poorer. There's an episode with a pickpocket who turns out to pickpockets Fu and some of the other characters, and it turns out his mum is sick, like on the verge of dying, and he's risking it all to pay for the medicine, even though she's terminal. There's no way he can save her. She's going to die.
It's not going to end well for her.
Yeah.
No.
And again, I think that's one of the better episodes. And then Fu has, and her backstory kind of mirrors this, but you don't really know it at this point. Kind of somewhat mirrors the storyline with that, and has sympathy, even though she's like, "Oh, you stole from me, you little bastard." And then there's this other one with Jean. It's probably my favorite episode, actually, with Jean, who they're all trying to make. They constantly have no money. They constantly are hungry as well. That's like their main driving force, even to a point where they're going to split up, and they're like, no, we should stay together and get some food, and then things work out. But the Jean has to get a job as like a sushi chef. And he doesn't know what he's doing, and this woman comes along. Oh, that's it. No, he bumps into the woman.
the grilled eel stand.
That's right. Yeah, they're doing the unagi, as Ross would say, the unagi eel. And this woman, he meets this woman on a bridge, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, don't kill yourself." And she's like, "What? I'm not going to kill myself. What a stupid idea." And he's like, "Yeah, don't kill yourself." And she's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm just enjoying the rain." And then she turns up at the restaurant, teaches him how to cook the eel, how to cut it, and everything. It just ends up working that night. Yeah. And then and he bonds with her and gets to know her, and it's kind of this sweet yet tragic love story, because she says, "My husband is a gambler. He's in debt, and this is my last day as a free woman. I'm going to have to join the brothel and be in the brothel."
Yeah. Work off his debt. Yeah.
And again, like, Jean's like bloody heartbroken because he's finally,
dude.
He's like, "Oh, I finally found the one for me," and she's already, and then he's trying to make money to kind of to pay her off, to buy her, and then he can't. It's too much that he can't afford, and then he spends like one night with her, and he just wants to talk with her. Like absolutely, like heartbreaking love story. Again, I won't spoil the ending of the episode, but it is. I think it's probably my favorite, just because it's like it's just a pitch perfect tragic love story, and I really. And you again, you get this, and he's a very, like we said, very stoic. He doesn't show a lot. He doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. Like Mugen is like
it's something you wouldn't expect of him, to actually go and do this for someone else.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes it the best episode. Like if it was Mugen, you wouldn't believe it and it wouldn't work. But because it's him, and again, he's not that open about who he is or his past or what's gone on. A lot of people think he's just this bad guy who killed his master for a lot of the show, but there's a bit more complicated issues in that.
There's actual reasons behind it.
Yeah, he's not just a cold, merciless killer. He's a good guy, but there's it's complicated. All of their backstories are complicated. The whole show is complicated in a way, with all the kind of interweaving plots and structures and stuff and characters and what they mean. But it's fantastic, and I'm so glad that because I said. I really like Afro Samurai, which I think is great, and again mixes that R&B and that hip hop feel. You've got Sam Jackson playing the Afro Samurai. You've got RZA off Wu-Tang Clan doing the music. It's fantastic. But you were like, no, let's watch Champloo, and I was like, hey, I'm up for something new. I'm always up for something different, and I'm so glad you introduced me to this because it's phenomenal.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's definitely on like my top 10 anime of all time list. I will further say though that my top 10 anime list, it has Ghost in the Shell at number one, but everything else below it is in any order. So
it's all good.
Number
it's all
one,
good.
and then the other 9 are just So Champloo is definitely somewhere in the top 9. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I have to agree. Like, I don't watch a lot of anime, but the ones I do like, I do really get into, and I really like. Oh my god, this is the one. And again, it's got this really like cool, mature, like chill vibe about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like oh, I'm feeling this now and I'm expressing this in my face and screaming. It's not relaxed.
In your face, is it, all the time? It's not constantly up in your grill screaming at you like some anime drill sergeant.
Absolutely.
It has its moments, like some of the episodes, like where there are like fights going on and what have you. Like I do like the artistic style of this as well. It's not overly anime, cutesy eyes, that kind of thing. I mean, the actual style itself is quite mature. The animation is slick too.
Polished.
Yeah. I mean, it was by a studio that hasn't been around for a long time. It was a relatively recent studio, but unfortunately, this very same studio filed for bankruptcy back in 2015. Studio Manglobe, they were called, and like on top of Samurai Champloo, they have done Ergo Proxy. They have also done Dead Man Wonderland. They have also done Samurai Flamenco as well. The one that finished it was an anime called Gangster, and it's a brilliant anime. The manga's really good as well. And unfortunately, 2 days after Gangster finished airing, Manglobe filed for bankruptcy.
Oh dear. I didn't realise there were such tragic stories behind this show as well.
No. But they were a very, very promising studio, and Samurai Champloo is definitely one of the animes that put them up there with the likes of the other bigger studios in terms of quality productions that they come out with. So yeah, it's a fucking shame.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, because it's gorgeous to look at. Like the painted backgrounds as well. All the kind of classic kind of Japanese art. There's that episode where there's that artist who later goes on to influence Van Gogh somehow. And I was like,
yeah, the ukiyo-e painting guy, where Fu gets kidnapped for, like, I don't know, the 90th time up to that point.
Yeah, and they're using that magazine or that comic or whatever it was. They're using that as actually a sex slave catalog. It's not like an art book. It's an actual catalog, and that's how they're getting away with it.
This bird, I want that one.
That'll do. Yeah, it's gorgeous to look at, and again, the animation really works. I don't think you get anything like this today. Even though it's only 15, 16 years ago, or 10 years ago. I don't know how long. I can't. My maths is poor, but however long it was.
Coming on 17 years ago.
17 years. There we go.
Yep.
So, I don't think you would necessarily. I think nowadays it's still more computerized. I don't think you get those.
It is, yeah. This is what's bothering me with anime at the moment, is the fact that they're doing a lot of CGI stuff. Like, I'll bring Ghost in the Shell up again, but they did standalone Complex 2045. It was a Netflix backed thing, and they made a massive fucking deal out of it. And I'm like, why the hell have they given us Ghost in the Shell Fortnite edition? Yeah. Honest to God, that is what it looks like, and that is not anime to me. Everybody's like, oh, but they're moving on with the times. Like, it does not gel well with me at all. It don't seem right, especially when you do have a lot of, I want to say, older anime, Champloo being 17 years old, but it gives it a feel. Yeah. You know what I mean? It gives it an emotional sort of, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it in words. There's
like an authenticity to the art style, I think.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And it's paying homage to those classic kind of, all the kind of Japanese artwork and the paintings. And that style, and that's really kind of as the backdrop. It's not in the foreground, but it is a gorgeous show to watch. Like, even just them walking down the road is beautifully animated. It's beautifully shot, framed, whatever you want to call it. And the fight scenes are so fluid and so
very well choreographed fight scenes as well, especially taking into consideration the fact that Jean is a samurai. And taking into consideration Mugen as well, as erratic and vulgar and random as he is, fights using something equivalent of like breakdancing and capoeira.
Yeah, it is very kind of that spinning on his back, kind of legs flying everywhere. Yeah. I just love that, like, most of his moves is just like running on people's faces. That's like his style. I'm just going to stamp on your faces. But yeah, it's like we were talking about, Mugen and Jin are so diametrically opposed. Even their fight style, their background, like Mugen's from a very kind of low-class orphan pirate island background. You've got Jin from this kind of high-class samurai discipline dojo place. And their fighting styles are totally different as well. Like, Jin is the very classically trained samurai, and Mugen's like, let's make this shit up. Even the sword is very like unusual that he has. Like,
yeah, actually, I did a bit of research on this. So you like how you have traditional sai, which are like, they've got the long blade up the basically the things that Electra uses.
Yeah.
If anybody wasn't too sure.
Or Raphael from the Turtles.
Yes. If I remember correctly, so Mugen says that he was from the Ryukyu Islands, which is very, very far south in Japan. At one point, it wasn't actually Japan. Okay. It was sort of like an annex, if you want to call it that. But what it was, everybody... When you watch the show, you maybe think that the Ryukyu Islands, where Mugen does come from, is a sort of prison colony. It wasn't. It was just a place where a lot of people got exiled. And specific islands, they would have, this is true, they would have had, a large exiled community of, people that have done bad things. Another interesting thing as well, a lot of people that were in Japanese prisons were frequently tattooed, usually on the face. And if I remember correctly, the tattoos maybe had something to do with the crime that was committed or what area it was committed in. And one of them was they'd have those dark bands across certain parts of their arms. So yeah, this is how Mugen has his tattoos, because he has actually been imprisoned at one point. I don't think it was something that it wasn't gone into in great detail in the show, but if you know a bit about the culture, then you'd be like, yeah, I kind of get that. I can understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating that this kind of weird and wacky show can actually, like I said, it's weird, it's wacky, but then it's deep and it's hilarious all at the same time. Every episode is so different. But like you said, like, I don't know all of this is entirely true, but you seem to know a lot about the Japanese history and the Japanese culture, which I found. Just you hearing that come out of your mouth, I was like, this is really interesting. This is fascinating.
Hey, I've got more. So
sure.
A later episode, I think it's maybe like 4 or 5 episodes from the end, you see this queue of people, and Mugen's like, what the fuck's this all about? There's a queue of people, and they're making them stand on this stepping play, which has been set into the road. Yeah, that was a thing. That was a genuine thing. So the stepping plate would have an image of maybe the Mother Mary or Jesus on the actual plate. And if people refused to step on it, it was apparently the 100% proven way of finding out if somebody was Christian.
I mean, you don't defile the image of the Mother Mary, do you?
No,
Mary.
no,
so I guess, yeah.
So
like that's an interesting, like, because I didn't even consider that until I started watching it, and they were like, oh yeah, there's a massive influx of Christians. Because this is just prior. If I remember my Japanese history, and I'm not that well versed in it, but coming out of this period, Japan started opening up and accepting kind of more Western ideas, Western people, Western culture. So the idea that Christians are coming in and kind of, I want to say infecting people with their ideology, but you know what I mean? They're kind of going, yeah, you want to be a Christian too. It's the colonization type thing that happened a lot with.
Christianity was actually in Japan at the time. It was like the Spanish mainly that had brought it in, and sort of like trying to remember exactly when it was. But yeah, Christianity has been in Japan for quite a while at that point, and it became rooted in society. And then when the Tokugawa Edo period did come round, it was one of the things that they did try to abolish. And a lot of the times they would do these random spot checks in certain villages with these stepping plates. And then obviously the people that were found to be of the Christian faith were dealt with in whatever way the people at the time saw fit. But this was when the Christians sort of went underground. Christianity is still in Japan to this day, albeit not in a massive capacity as opposed to like the main religion, which would be like Buddhism. But it was after the Tokugawa period had finished and they went into the Meiji, if I remember correctly, era, which was right. Restoration. So a lot of things came to pass. So samurai were no longer a thing. Like they couldn't open carry weapons or anything like that. The samurai class was just abolished pretty much. They got given different religious freedoms as well, and this is when all the then underground Christians could, come out and not be persecuted for their faith.
We're free. Yeah, not the first time Christians have been persecuted, I'm sure, and probably maybe it won't be the last. But I'm looking actually with my friend Rasheen. We're going to be looking at Lady Snowblood next week, and that apparently is just as that period is changing. And like there's a bit, it's Lady Snowblood very much influenced like Kill Bill and a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, and apparently there you can see them verging into that kind of Meiji period and the end of the samurai. And even at the end of this show, they're saying, you've been born in the wrong period. This is the end. This is the end of the samurai. We're done. We are no longer relevant in this world. So I'm just, we're just trying to survive as best we can with the skills we've got. But if we were born a few years prior, then it would have been perfect because this would have been we could have lived our full life as samurai, honorably. But this age of warriors is coming to an end. We're coming into a more, civilized way of living, and a more kind of open to new ideas, new cultures, which a lot of the Japanese were like very against, and I think you hear a lot about that within this show as well. There's a lot of those ideas.
You do actually, yeah. Like the episode with the Dutch guy. The eating contest, that's probably one of my favorite episodes, because not only does it touch upon sort of outside cultures, import, export, that kind of thing, because Japan was pretty much on lockdown during the Tokugawa period. They didn't let people out of Japan, and they certainly were trying to stop people from getting in Japan, whether it be people trying to do business, trade, whatever. They were not interested. But for some reason, the Dutch seemed to get in. This happened as well. Well, yeah, the thing with the Dutch guy and all of like the local police forces and stuff is trying to go around finding this like 6 foot something, blue-eyed, weird speaking man.
He looks like the design of the character just makes me think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like he's massive. He's got the brown hair. He's got the over the top accent. I was just like, yeah, it must have been based on him. There's no way.
Like I said earlier on, they have taken some sort of artistic liberties, but a majority of the history is. It's true to a sense, but obviously if you do your research and that, like when I first watched this anime, it did make me wonder about things. So, I did do a little bit of research afterwards, just because I was intrigued, like how does that relate to this part of the anime, and, why was this a thing? You do end up doing, a little bit of hunting to find out what is true and what isn't.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I've had you on, because you know your shit. When it comes to anime,
I think I do anyway.
Yeah, when it comes to anime and Japanese culture, and I like to do my research as well. I like to go like deep dive and look at things and kind of re-examine stuff and history. And I think history's always been fascinating to me. Probably not one of my best subjects at school, but I always found it fascinating to look back and see, again, like how far we've come, what was different.
And people always say that history is doomed to repeat itself, don't they, at some point? And you can take things from a lot of pop culture now that was set back in the day, various points in history, and you can just see some of it kind of cropping back. Not necessarily good things, but also not necessarily bad things either.
It's all like, cyclical. It's all cyclical.
It does. It's like fashion revivals. I was telling John earlier on, I was like, right, they said that fashion rotates around maybe every 3 decades or so. So things that happened 30 years ago, like when we were kids or whatever, is going to start gradually coming back. And it's like, no, hang on a minute, because the kids now are actually bringing stuff back from when they were born.
Wow.
So that's cut half the time.
Well, the 90s was a very unique time for fashion and for a lot of things. So maybe they're like, yeah, we like the 80s, but forget the 90s. Sack that off.
The 90s was a particularly decent time for anime as well, and a lot of them have been forgotten. But modern animes now, if you want to say maybe within like the past 15 years or so, are actually, taking things from original animes from like way back in the day. It's so bizarre because you do get what I consider genuinely special animes, and Samurai Champloo is definitely one of them because of how it's been put together, how the story has been told, the animation style, the direction of it. It's a 1 in a million anime, I reckon.
Oh, it's truly unique. Like I've never seen anything like it, and something has never surprised me as much as when I got to the last 3 episodes, which is basically the finale, the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. It's kind of, I would say that it's not a show you binge, because I think a lot of the episodes are fairly similar. It's fairly similar, like, what's the situation this week?
They are to an extent, but I think it is of a length that you can binge if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's
not something that's going to be incredibly difficult to get through.
No, I found it quite easy to get through, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a TV guy. I'm not really a TV person. Like, I'll watch comedy TVs, I'll watch the odd series here and there, but I'm not like religious when it comes to like television. I tend to watch a few and I go, that's pretty good. I'm not going to watch it tonight, and then I forget to go back to it. I've still got to finish what's it, Cobra Kai, which I really enjoyed. I was loving Cobra Kai, but again, still haven't got back to it. But I will. But yeah, it's definitely something you can enjoy. But again, like we said, it's weirdly the sum of its parts.
It is.
And you're going along these weird and wacky adventures, and all the while I was like, yeah, they're all right. They're the classic character archetype. Fu's like the kind of classic anime woman, it's kind of like, there's various female characters, and they're depicted in various ways in anime. And she's definitely not quite what I expected. I don't know if I kind of expected like a kick-ass female samurai or something with her, but that is not her character, and that's not the purpose she serves in the show. But
it's not even that. Like, you do get the occasional kick-ass sort of martial arts woman through it, but to be honest, they weren't really a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the likes of Kunoichi, for example, which is essentially a female ninja. They were trained and used for the fact that they were women. Women could do certain things that men can't, such as, come on to another bloke, get him absolutely arseholed and get secrets out of him, that kind of way.
Yeah.
That is sort of in the sense that, like, maybe women spies in World War II we use, seduction and that kind of thing. But women in those times were trained to a certain extent to protect the house.
Yeah.
Usually because the men were away working, a lot of them anyway. So they were used to. I know the cat's attacking me. He's being sassy.
Have you been hearing a little tinkling or a little meowing? The cat's getting really
Cade.
angry.
That's Cade. He's got a mom-com. What's wrong with you? Go away.
Judging you now. Totally judging you.
Evils.
He's like, you've not paid me enough attention.
He's been asleep.
Look at me, stroke me.
No, like women were expected to look after the house, look after the kids, do the laundry, do the shopping. But if somebody breaks in, we'll give you this short little tanto blade that you can hold in the pocket of your kimono and go and, stab a bitch. That's that was the limit to, what women were sort of expected to do. But you did get the occasional kunoichi, the little lady ninja.
Yeah, and you do get a couple of really kick-ass kind of female characters in this later on. You get there's the one who's kind of like a secret spy, and there's like they're doing like a mining thing. She's like a prostitute that Mugen gets with, and the money
thing, counterfeiting.
That was it. Yeah, sorry, that was it. It was counterfeit because they were getting the gold and they're making counterfeit. Well, it wasn't real gold, but they're making like counterfeit coins, and they. She uses like Mugen's like, you're going to let me sleep with you once we complete this mission. And she was like,
he's found a massive bag of all these counterfeit coins, and he's like, right, I'm going to go and dip my wick into some really expensive prostitute. And instead of getting a really expensive prostitute, he's got like a secret police woman who's just using him to basically lay the place to waste.
Yeah, because he's such a great samurai. She's like, yeah, it's fine. You just do that. And like, there's like this massive battle there. She's like, I don't think we can take all of them. He's like, yeah, I can, because he's just all bravado and he's so overconfident. And he kind of has like this, it's kind of like when he meets the samurai and he sees their style, he kind of goes, yeah, that's pretty good, that. I'm going to beat you. It's kind of like almost like a Goku type thing where he's like, yeah, you're good at fighting.
He learns from it though. That's the thing. He can learn stuff and sort of integrate it into his own style in a way. It's kind of bizarre.
It's I think it's because he's so like erratic and unusual, and it's a mix of everything. Like he's
very random, yeah.
He is in fact the samurai Champloo. He's the mixed up one, and I think as well that a lot of people underestimate him because he's a slob. He's like raleigh and
very brash, vulgar. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's not a very likable character, but you do get to like him as well as the show goes on because he is honourable.
Rogue.
He is, yes, very much a lovable rogue. And again, you get to love Gene a little bit as well because he slowly but surely kind of opens up, and you get to know about his kind of past tragedy and things.
I think anything that happens with Gene is the fact that because he is so sort of, quiet spoken and stoic and stuff, if anything does happen to him, it just makes it twice as funny.
Yeah,
he's this full-on, serious Bushido samurai guy rocking about with his daisho and his glasses and stuff, and as soon as something weird happens to him, it's like, oh my god,
yeah,
why?
It's like cringe, it's just like that sort of thing. Like, what is going on? I love it though, and I love that they do grow as fighters as well within it. You do, like you said, you see Mugen's style evolve and he changes, and even like Jin learns from Mugen and his style. He's like, oh, actually, that's pretty good. I might kind of add that to my.
I think he learns to become a little bit more malleable, doesn't he? He's still got the discipline and the grace of a samurai, but I think he does end up taking like more risks.
Is it the Kinjitsu style or something like that?
Kinjutsu, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a classically trained. Like Mugen doesn't really grow. I mean, they all grow. Like Fu for me, like again, like she's not really the kick-ass samurai that maybe I expected. But again, I went in totally blind. I didn't research this. I just went, I'm just going to watch it. And I don't know if that was my own expectations, but I think she's great. I can see like a lot of people have, I think initially they have an issue with her, that she's a bit whiny or a bit irritating or a bit full on.
A bit bossy as well.
Bit bossy, yeah. But fair enough. Like 15-year-old girl, would be bossy, I imagine.
Well, yeah, especially with her past as well. Yeah. You can completely understand why she is the way she is.
Yeah. And that's what's great about all of them. They're all from different backgrounds, they have different situations, they've all had difficult upbringings, they all have had difficult family situations, they've all had tragedy, but they all, no matter their differences, they all kind of come together, and this journey they go on bonds them forever. And it's kind of this universal message that, life, like even there's a bit at the end where, you're looking for this guy, samurai that smells like sunflowers. Sunflowers don't smell like anything. Does he even exist? Is he even real?
Then you've got Mugen going, what even is a sunflower?
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that episode where he can't read as well. Like he has to learn.
Oh my God. We actually watched that one last night. I watched everything again just in preparation for this. But the one where they find out that he's illiterate, I couldn't cope with that one. Oh my God.
He's like, I'll have what everyone else is having. And they're like, why do you always have what everyone else is having? It was like, do you know what that means? Yeah, it means no. I always see it everywhere and I don't like it.
Yeah, and what does this one mean? No.
That means no. And then this drunk guy overhears him. And then it's almost like an army drill sergeant teaching him how to read. He's like, I want people to make fun of you. And he keeps hitting him every time he gets it wrong. It's so, so funny. I think that's the graffiti episode as well. I think it's the same one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah. But just fantastic. And like the characterization is kind of it's short and subtle throughout. Like you don't get a lot of it in every episode, but you get like it's like, oh, here's a little bit more. It's like like teasing you with a backstory or teasing them with what they want, what they care about. But again, it is a bit existential because it's all about belonging somewhere, being part of a family, finding people you identify with, making the most out of this life that has no purpose, really. It has no meaning. And you have to kind of find your meaning and celebrate the moments you have with people.
Exactly,
Even if it's only a short amount of time that you spend with them, or if you grow apart, if you fall out, you can still treasure those moments. And, when you come to the end of your life, and again, that becomes a big thing towards the end of the series. you've got to treasure those moments, treasure those friendships, treasure those experiences you've filled throughout your life. It's not about the destination. It is not about the samurai that smells of sunflowers, because potentially that won't get you anywhere. It's not the journey. It's the journey. It's not the destination. And I think it's a really interesting and introspective thing to think about, in your own life, and you can take something away from this show, and and you bond with people, and they leave, they go, or you move away, what have you, or you don't go to work with them anymore, you don't go to school with them, but you'll always have those memories, and that's that culminative kind of life journey is what we all want. We want a full life.
Kind of like that one friend that you've always got that you won't speak to for years because of whatever reason, whether it be on the phone, in face, on a text message, anything like that. You will not speak to this friend for God knows how long. And then all of a sudden, you either send them a message one day or they send you a message, and it just carries on as if you've never been apart.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like instant. You go, oh, I remember this. I know exactly how we used to talk. I remember all the jokes. I remember all the banter, and you just know it. And I feel like that's going to be me coming back to this. It's going to be like seeing an old friend, this show, like, because I do want to come back to it and kind of watch it again and enjoy it again. Not on a kind of a critical level, because but
it's one that's nice to go back. I mean, obviously you've watched it because I recommended it to you, for this podcast. But it is one of those shows that is nice to go back to and literally just watch without a critical eye.
No.
It's something that you can watch once every so often, and you can still enjoy it every time.
Yeah. One episode, like if you just turn on one episode, you'll have a great time with it. You'll have fun. If you don't follow up with a second or a third, you can still really enjoy it. It like you said, doesn't stick around. It's got a pace to it. It's fun. It's frenetic. It's exciting. It's deep. It's melancholy. It's hilarious. It's got everything I would want in a show, let alone an anime, let alone a cartoon or what have you. Like just generally
show in general,
it hits all the buttons it needs to do. The music's fantastic. It's so good. I can't recommend this enough to anybody, even if you're not an anime fan, even if it's not your bag. I think there's something in here for you. Like I was saying, the comedy really does land, even in the dub, because I watched it with a dub, which with me, I'm not particularly bothered about dubs or subs. In that massive argument, if I turn something on,
I've never been like that. Even though, like, counting up a little while ago again for TikTok, just to give people the knowledge that I've been around for a fucking long time. And I have been into anime as a medium for a fucking long time. I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what any bugger else says. But, oh God, Samurai Champloo has been recommended so many times in anything that I have ever done, and people have always been like, yeah, this is good. I can get behind this. It's timeless in a sense that, like you said, it's just one of them ones that is generally good. It doesn't matter that it's an anime.
No, genuinely just a good show, good characters, strong characterization, great action, great music, looks beautiful. Yeah, it's a show I would recommend regardless of your background, regardless of who you are, because again, like before you know it, it catches up to you at the end, and you're like, oh my God, I have been on this journey. I have absolutely been on this journey. Like, these are my friends almost. You're so engaged with the characters. And again, it's something like that. Like, you spend time with friends, but you might not have any like really deep conversations. But you if you lose that friend or they go away or something happens, you're like, oh fuck, I miss them. Like when you have a work friend and you leave that job, you're like, I'm probably never going to speak to them again, and that might be a shame. Or
well, I'll tell you what, right, these three, so Jean, Mugen, and Fu, they really do remind me of like British friends. You know what I mean? Like British friends. They've got this kind of animosity between the three of them that you only find in genuine, true friends. You know what I mean? Like you can have your group of friends, which are just pretty much acquaintances. You know, you go out and you go to the pub or that kind of thing with them. But your true friends, they will literally come up to you and go, "You're all right, fuckhead." Like, you know, like, "I a dickhead. What have you been doing?" That kind of thing. That's true friends to me. That's British friends, and I kind of get that impression from these three. I don't know why they're forever calling each other, but they're always there for each other. It's pretty cool.
No, I agree. There is kind of like, you know, when you actually feel something for someone, you know, you have that license to do that. You know, I couldn't go up to a stranger and say something like that because I get my head kicked in. But a true friend wouldn't be offended, be like, you're also a bit of a dickhead.
It's like when you go up to one of your friends who's had a really bad day and they're feeling down in the dumps, and then you go, "What's wrong with you, daft bastard?" Like.
But like I have friends like all these characters as well. I know that they kind of start off as these just kind of generic archetypes, but again, slowly but surely, you bond with them as they bond with each other as well. Like, again, they all have their like, "Oh God, he does this. This is his thing. This is his traits." And you know, she does this. She's the annoying, whiny one. He's the quiet one. You never get a word out of. He's the annoying, aggressive, you know, bit full on guy. You know, we all have friends like that. And we all, you know, I definitely have a Jean friend. I definitely have a Mugen friend. I definitely have a Fu friend. You know, so I can relate to those characters in a very general way. But again, by the end of the journey, you're like, oh my God, I'm absolutely invested in this journey. I'm absolutely invested in the ending of the show and what is gonna happen for the characters. What is, you know, are they going to carry on? Do they die? I'm not going to spoil the ending because I think the ending is very important for this journey. And
it is.
And as much as I'm saying it is the journey, not the ending, I think there is something about the ending which enforces the journey, yet doesn't complete it. Or it's again very complex. Some really complex, mature ideas going on here. Like Evangelion, there was like, oh my God, it was like existential. Like, what is God? What is life? Am I alive? You know, all that stuff going on. I feel like this is. I don't think it's necessarily better than that, but it's on a same kind of high level of anime that I want to kind of experience. Like, I want to experience anime that is this clever, this deep, and this well put together in general.
I always put Samurai Champloo on that. Obviously, back to the fact that I call myself an anime veteran at this point. Just because I've been watching anime since I was like 4 or 5 years old now. You know, I am nearly 35. That is 30 goddamn years of being emotionally invested in this medium. I like to think I've got to that point where I can give people recommendations and know what suits them as a person, if that makes any sense. Samurai Champloo is one of these ones that you can suggest to anyone, especially if they are starting out watching anime, or if they want something that's easily watchable but with a solid story. Like, I would not recommend Evangelion, for example, to anybody who maybe wasn't well versed in anime to begin with. It is that you see like lists and stuff on the internet, which is like, 15 animes that you must watch if you've never watched anime before, and Evangelion's always on that list. I'm like, nah, I totally disagree with you. It's Evangelion is Marmite.
I think you would love it or hate it, and I know I loved it personally. I think I'm glad that you wanted to talk about that, because I was like, this is shit hot. But again, I probably wouldn't recommend it to someone who's particularly religious as well. Like, I think that might be like, I find this all a bit offensive, or it's not quite right and it's weird. But yeah, and again, like, maybe if you're into kind of kaiju stuff, you're into giant robots, you're into giant monsters, you know, that sort of thing, I can probably recommend it to a few people. But it's a very specific journey to go on. I feel like this is, like you said, this is more easily accessible to a general audience.
Like you mentioned before, it is quite relatable, but in a very simplistic way. Obviously, because none of us are, you know, like in fucking 1800s, you know, Edo Period Japan, traveling across the country and all that business. But no, it's relatable in the sense that, the characters, they seem quite familiar in a sense, like you would have these sort of people as friends at some point in your life. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's one of them. Again, like you said, your anime, and what I love about anime and like what I love about like comic books and stuff is there's so many stories you can tell. Like
There's something for everyone as well. There literally is something for everyone.
Absolutely. So many, like you can tell a noir detective story, you can tell an angelic story and demonic stories, and you can tell fucking Sasquatch story. Whatever story you want to tell, you can tell it. It's like a novel. It's just the possibilities
the
around.
World your lobster, imagination, all that business.
And like you said, it's such a varied art form that if you're looking for something really specific, really niche, like I'm talking niche, you can find it within anime, you can find it within comic books, Exactly. Again, if you're looking for that, if you want to find it, and some people have their various kinks and whatever they're into, that if that's your thing, you can find it. So yeah, but I think this is definitely for a Western audience. I think this is a good kind of gateway drug to more anime.
Palatable. It's the length of the series is perfect. This also harkens back to a time in anime when one series or a season, if you want to call it that, is 26 episodes long. Yeah. None of this 12 episode first season, then 12 episode second season, and then they keep that going for however long they want to. None of that business. And the way that it was put together, it's just a nice sort of self-contained story that does not outstay its welcome. Yeah. It's palatable, it's relatable, it's nice to look at. What more do you want?
Exactly. I could not agree more. It's a fantastic show. Get on it. It's on Netflix. It's great. It's definitely the funniest. I think it's going to be the funniest thing I look at in Samurai Month. All the other stuff's a bit serious. So I'm glad that I had a little bit of a kind of a change from the usual kind of samurai stuff. But yeah, I've got a lot of other cool stuff coming up. Like I said, Lady Snowblood. I'm going to look at Frank Miller's Ronin, which was the inspiration for Samurai Jack as well. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to look at. But yeah, that is fantastic. But yeah, I think we're coming to an end. I think we've discussed it in full. Again, without giving too much away. Giving out too much away. Look out for those specific episodes because they're great. Some of our favorites. You'll probably find an episode you quite like on your own. There's 26 of them. Again, very varied. You might love it one episode, hate the other, but there's something for everybody to like in this. Like we said, Champloo is just a mix of everything, but it's the perfect gumbo pot, of everything you would possibly want in a show, in an anime, in anything, in a form of media, in an art form. It is, and I think it is very artistic. Like it's so inspired by Japanese culture and Western culture and the slamming of them together. And again, shouldn't work. None of this should work. But there is some magic element that is sprinkled into that gumbo pot, and that makes it. And I imagine that's the Watanabe's, creative hand and show running that has kind of curated this. And it ends solidly. It doesn't go on forever. It is, just when you want it, it's just bam, that's it. And I love a good end note. I love a good end to a story. And like we said, probably the benefit of this show is that it wasn't based on a manga. It was a totally original anime. I think there were mangas made afterwards, inspired by it.
I think it ran alongside the manga, actually.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I want to say that it's not completely, like an original idea. No. It was sort of done in conjunction with a manga. I think maybe the manga came out slightly before it, but that does not usually happen. You don't usually have an anime that runs alongside a manga. Like it's either usually the manga first, then the anime, or the anime first and then the manga.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like Pokemon was like a multimedia event, wasn't it? They had everything, and they have
it
art,
was, yeah.
video game.
But there were only like 2 volumes of the Samurai Champloo manga anyway, so it's not like there was a lot of material to begin with, even if it was derived from it.
True, yeah.
Because you're not going to get a lot out of 2 volumes.
Absolutely not. But yes, before we go, I think we put a fine point on it. Guys, 100% recommend this. Get on it. Get watching. It's on Netflix.
Definitely.
Most people have Netflix. You know, it is also on YouTube as well. There's lots of, you can find the full series on YouTube in HD, because I did. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's on Netflix. What am I doing? I'll just watch it on Netflix. But it's there if you don't particularly have Netflix. And then, again, the whole series, all 26 episodes, you can find quite easily, multiple playlists that I've found. So definitely. But before we go, I just want to ask, you said you're on TikTok, you said you're on Facebook, you've also on YouTube. So you've got your...
I'm everywhere. I'm spreading myself out about all over the place.
You've got your cosplay page, the Kusanagi cosplay page we talked about last time.
Kusanagi Cosplay UK on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah. And you've got your ASMR on YouTube that you do?
Yeah, I do ASMR. So I am under Kusanagi ASMR. That's on YouTube and TikTok. Where if you do want to give us a follow or something, then you'll get some anime recommendations in certain genres usually. Perfect. And I'm at Major2501.
Cool. I will tag that. Make sure everyone who is on. I'm not on TikTok personally, but I will tag it. Get everybody. I'll get the link, find it, and we'll share it. But yeah, check out the ASMR. So I love a good bit of ASMR. When
you've got my dulcet tones whispering in your ear, all going meat and potato pie.
But I think your accent works with it, because that's quite a unique ASMR accent. You know, like how often you get someone in ASMR with the accent you have. It's amazing. Exactly, it's a unique experience, and it makes it even better. And like you've done all sorts. You've done like lots of different materials and lots of different materials.
I've done like ripping cardboard. I do knitting. What else I do? All sorts.
I'll tag the link. I'll get people to watch it. You know, again, if you don't know what ASMR is, give it a Google. You know, we're not going to explain it, because you know you can do the legwork. You can do the legwork. I'm not going to explain that. You do it. But it's an art form in itself. Speaking of anime, but yeah, loads of people get well into it. I've seen some really unique ones like on YouTube. I'm like, okay, so
this is a thing.
Yeah. Yep. So I've got the plague, and you're a nurse, and you're telling me everything's going to be okay. All right, sure. Whatever you fancy, whatever your bag is, you know. Again, whatever your niche is, you can find it at ASMR as well. Yes. But yes. Anywhere else? Any other social medias? Or are those the main ones you use?
That is pretty much it. I think I'm forgetting what Instagram looks like. I haven't really updated my cosplay page in a while because of the panettone happening. But yeah, no, it was the prime opportunity to get into ASMR and you know, start doing a bit of farting about on TikTok. So, but yeah. Well, I mean, you got the equipment. You could do your own podcast as well. You could do anything. You've got all the gear. And I was genuinely thinking, because I've got all the gear and the equipment and everything, why don't I do my own audiobook about stupid novel that I'm writing myself?
Amazing. Yeah, do that. That sounds incredible. What's the novel about?
The novel is basically a mishmash of like various science fiction tropes, but the people in the universe know that it's like that. It's like
fiction. It's almost fictional sort of thing.
Right. Well, you tell me in the future, right? When we've all got basically, you know, like big robots and stuff, you know. Yeah, of course, it's going to be scientists who are going to be building big robots, because they've been watching Gundam for most of their life. Damn right, they're building fucking big robots.
Hey, they're real. They're already moving. I've seen Japan. They've already got the Gundams going. So yeah. So it's kind of, it's sci-fi in the future, influenced by like fictional sci-fi.
Kind of influenced by fictional sci-fi, because obviously the scientists are the geeks, and the geeks are the ones who, are into all this like nerdy sci-fi shit, if you want to call it that. Of course we're going to have real life Gundams, and we're going to have, AIs that are voiced by Benefit Cosmetics, or whatever he's called.
But
what I mean? If you throw in like a bit of Battle Royale and a bit of, Blade Runner in there, definitely Ghost in the Shell, The Running Man,
nice,
Death Race 2000, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sounds great. I mean, often science fiction becomes science fact, doesn't it? Like Star Trek, they'd have an iPad and they're doing this, and then we've got them now. It does happen. It does. Weirdly,
this is it's all coming full circle, isn't it?
So, well, it sounds like it'll be a very prescient take. And sci-fi, sci-fi is always about something. As entertaining as it is, it's always about something that's occurring in real life. Like, I know a lot of the story, like the original like Superman stories, were like, it was like against the industrial age and shit like that. It was like machines are taking over and taking the workers' jobs, and like Superman would like go and smash them and things like that. I mean, the first image of Superman is him smashing an automobile, smashing a car.
Oh, he's yeeting that car, isn't he?
Yeah, he's yeeting it. So that's kind of like, that's quite an important thing, because it was like obviously the mass automation and Victorian age and stuff. So there is like those movements and those ideas in sci-fi. So I always appreciate that. But that sounds like a great idea. Kind of almost like a kind of Ready Player One, yet in the real world, mix of all this stuff. Again, nice big gumbo pot. Pot.
Absolutely.
Stir that shit. Get it all good. Definitely. I'd stick that up. I'd do that. I mean, you can do. My friends do podcasts where it's like little skits and sketches and things. Yeah. So, and again, podcasting is great as well, because again, you can do whatever you want with the podcast. It's a creative avenue where you can do stuff like I do, or you can do stuff, like the sketches, or you can do radio plays, dramatic readings. You can do anything you want. So the sky is the limit. But I'm going to tell people where I am on the social medias. So I'm on Facebook, it's at Secret Boars. Twitter, it's at Dan_Boars. Instagram, it's SpiderDan Secret Boars. And don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle when you interact with us. And for everything else you need to know about the podcast, swing over to SpiderDanandTheSecretBalls.com on the World Wide Web to email me, read reviews, and learn how you can support the podcast. Speaking of supporting the podcast, I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I am Jack's Musings, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Tony Farina, and Scott Hodgson. Thank you for your continuing donations. Yes, give him a little clap. Quiet clap. Yay. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Continuing, I'm still doing the exclusive videos. I'm going to start doing some exclusive podcasts as well. So you've got lots to look forward to, and including this in Samurai Month, and much more to come in Samurai Month as well. But this has been amazing.
Thanks for having me. It's been a scream.
Oh, it's been a blast. And we'll get you back on for some more anime or whatever else you want to talk about. Let me know, because I love having you on, and you're great. And again, you're a fountain of knowledge to do with Japanese culture and anime. Like you said, 30 years of anime experience. And this is why I come to you. I don't go to anyone else. I come to you when I want to talk about anime, because you're the best one for it. So
I am honoured. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll leave Georgina-san, and we'll say goodbye on this particular podcast. Thanks for joining us again, guys. And I hope you look forward to all the other stuff coming in Samurai Month. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra for a bit.